So before starting the class, mention your name in the chat box. I'll take attendance from that portion. Asta, I am fine. How are you? I hope you have watched the previous video that was uploaded yesterday. That was on the geography, and also you have understood the previous subunit from this chapter 9 of your history book, that is the growth of regional language Bengali. Now students, today in our social science class we are going to discuss the another subunit. It is the last subunit from this chapter as per your syllabus, and it is in page number 132, and the name of the subunit is Pirs and Temples. So you know that in your city, in your town, there are lot of Pir Tolas are there. Okay, so lot of Pir Tolas, they are people addressing their locality as Pir Tola. So what is the meaning of Pir Tola? Who are the Pirs? Okay, and what are the these type of burials or shrines are there? So today we are learning about that. And temples also. You know, in Bengal, including your city, is full with temples. So who built those temples actually, and how did this temple building spree was started? Everything today we are going to discuss. Good afternoon. Why? Who is this? Devayan, it's not afternoon. Okay, so everyone listen carefully. So from the 16th century, what happened? The people began to migrate in large number from the less fertile lands of western Bengal to the forests and marshy areas of southeastern Bengal. Okay, so if I draw the map of West Bengal, it is not the actual map, but just for your understanding. Okay, so this is our West Bengal, and that part is today known as the Bangladesh. And the river Ganges also divided into two. One, it is the Bhagirathi, another one Padma, and created a huge delta. So this is the ancient story of ancient Bengal. It is not the present Bengal. Some part of Assam also included at that time in that Bengal, and Tripura state also included into it, and in Bengal Suba in Mughal period included the states today known as Bihar and Jharkhand. So it's a huge place. And at the time, what happened? The people started migrating from the 16th century from less fertile western Bengal to the forested and marshy areas of southeastern Bengal. From this region, people started migrating this region. So you can see the southeastern Bengal, that is the more fertile but full with forest and marshy lands, means wetlands. So what happened? Then they started living there. They cleared the forest. The place is full with forest because the river was there. So that's why, like Amazon at the time, it is also full with the trees and forest. They cleared the forest and brought the land under rice cultivation, and water was available because of the river, so it was not a problem for them. So gradually local communities of fisher folk and shifting cultivators, often tribals, they merged with the new communities of peasants. So the tribals, the fisher folk, those are living on catching fishes. So these people, the shifting cultivators, do change. Those people change their places after one season because the land become unfertile. So they change their place and shifted to another place for cultivation. So these are called shifting cultivators. So all these people, often the tribals, they merged with the new communities of peasants who came from the western Bengal to the eastern region. And this place also became so much important when Mughals controlled the entire Bengal, and it was become the part of Bengal Suba and or the province, and the capital, their capital in the heart of the eastern delta of Dhaka. The heart of the capital, they established their capital in the Dhaka on the bank of river Bhagirathi, the Padma, and then the place started flourishing, and lot of people like the officials and the functionaries, they received land in this area. They got their jagir, and they started migrating this area, and often set up mosques and served as center for religious transformation in these areas. So when these people, when the Mughal officials and other people, functionaries, they started arriving in this area, the soldiers also, so for their worshipping, they made lot of mosques, and the local people also started adopting Islam. So in this way, this area experienced the religious transformation at the time. What happened next? That the early settlers shout some order and assurance in the unstable condition of the new settlement. So the new settlers who arrived here started assembling the people and started to establish order and assurance in the unstable condition of the people. People are very much unstable, and the place, and very much indisciplined. So they impose rules and regulations, Mughals rules and regulations, and discipline the area and the settlement. So these were provided by community leaders, the religious leaders, who also functioned as teachers and adjudicators, and were sometimes ascribed with supernatural powers. Sometimes this type of some people have supernatural powers. People believed that they have supernatural powers, and people referred to them with affection and respect as peers. And when someone become ill or some problem in their social life, they also reached towards the peers and for some remedy or the cure of the diseases of their near and dear ones. So in this way, their peers become very much popular. And the term peer included saints or Sufis and other religious personalities also, and daring colonizers and defied soldiers, they also gathered into gathered towards them, and various Hindu and Buddhist deities, and even animistic spirits. Animistic spirits means the attribution of living soul of plants, inanimate objects, and natural objects. So in this way, they found that soul is in everywhere. Like you have read in class 6 about in the Upanishad, how the Upanishad describes that soul was their universal soul and the individual soul. So in this way, the people also started believing all this when the philosophy of Hinduism and Buddhism also mixed with the people who called as peers. The Sufis, they also practiced some of the rituals of Hinduism and Buddhism, and they also believed about the idea of individual soul and universal soul. So in this way, they got some supernatural powers while they worshipping the god in their own way, and people started believing these people. And animistic spirits mean animals, the trees, all these, the worshipping of these things, those who are worshipped by the local people previously, they are also intermixed with the idea of this peer culture. And the cult of peer become very popular, and their shrines can be found everywhere in the Bengal. Okay. So I think you have understood what is peer, and in your Burdwan also lot of peer tolas are there, no, your city, and in all the entire South Bengal and in today's Bangladesh, in Eastern Bengal also, lot of peer tolas are there. So people respect those peers, and they establish their shrines almost everywhere. Now we are going to discuss about the temple building spree, that the Bengal also witnessed a temple building spree from the late 15th century. Late 15th century means 1450 AD. And we have seen that there are temples and other religious structures in chapter number 2 and chapter number 5 that were often built by individuals or groups who were becoming powerful. Mainly the Samantas, the Zamindars, the rulers, they built, or the kings, they built this type of temples or religious structures to both demonstrate their power and number 2, to proclaim their piety towards the deity. So both the things are important in this case. Why did they made such type of temples and religious structures? Number 1, to demonstrate their power, and number 2, to proclaim their piety. Piety means their devotion towards the deity. So many of the modest brick and terracotta temples in Bengal were built with the support of several low caste or low social groups. They are not caste, they are low social groups. In today's Bengal also, there are a lot of divisions are there, such as the Kolu, the oil pressers. At the time, those people who pressed the oil seeds such as mustard and made oil, so those known as Kolu. And the Kasari or bale metal workers, those worked with the Kasa Pital. So these are the some type of metal, okay, some type of alloy actually. And the coming of the European trading companies also created new economic opportunities. When in that time, this is the very crucial time when the Portuguese and the European trading companies such as the East India Company, English East India Company, the Dutch as well as the French, they arrived in India and Bengal. So some of these low social groups, they joined with them and started business and earned huge money and improved their social status and economic position also. So they proclaimed their status through the construction of temples. So they also donated lot of money on construction of the temples. When local deities once worshipped in thatched huts in villages, okay, when some local deities, they also started worshipping in some village area in some thatched hut made with straw and clay houses. So these deities was also worshipped. Again, importance of the Brahmanas, and they gained recognition of the Brahman class, and they started worshipping those deities in some temples, inside temples, and their images began to be housed in temples. And after they got the recognition of the Brahman class, and they found some, they made their similarities between the mainstream deities such as Vishnu, Brahma, the Durga and the Shiva. Then all these deities also got their importance, and they started worshipping inside their homes and temples also. So in this way, the images began to be housed in temples, and the temple began to copy the double-roofed dochala and four-roofed chouchala structure of the thatched huts. So I am drawing the dochala and chouchala structure, and there are a lot of temples also in Bengal, those who followed this dochala and chouchala structure. Okay, so dochala structure, mainly this type of thatched huts. Okay, so dochala structure. So people even worshipped on those deities inside this dochala thatched hut, and in the temple architecture also they started following this type of temple architecture. This type of dochala temples almost everywhere you can find out. It was very much famous, okay, at that time. This dochala temple and chouchala temple, these are also very much famous. So you can see the four roof temples. This is the four roof, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this is the two roofed. Okay. So this type of temples are very much famous in different parts of Bengal. And most of the time these type of temples were built on a raised platform. Okay, so these are dochala and chouchala temple. This is the dochala and chouchala temple structure. There are two roofs, there are four roofs. And the Kalighat temple, you can see that Kalighat temple is an example of chouchala temple, and in village areas lot of dochala temples also you can see worshipping some local deities, and this led to the evolution of the typical Bengali style of temple architecture. You have read previously that in North Indian style, the Nagari style of temple architecture, and in South India the Dravidian style of architecture, including the use of Gopuram was there, the stepped shikhara. But now in Bengal there are different type of temple architecture we can see, and in a comparatively more complex four roof structure with four triangular roofs placed on a four walled, moved up to converge on a curved line or a point. So temples were usually built on a square platform. I have already drawn that square platform here, you can see in the board, and the interior was relatively plain. Interior was very much plain, but the exterior was full with some terracotta tiles. In this way, full with terracotta tiles and depicting some of the ancient Puranic stories all over the temple. Okay, so you can see this type of terracotta architecture in different type of different temples in Bengal, including the Radha Govinda temple of Joydev Kenduli, and also the temple that is the terracotta temple also. They are in various parts. In your city in Burdwan also there are a lot of terracotta temples were found. The ruin of the terracotta temples were found, and also the temples also In some temples, particularly in Vishnupur, the Bankura district of West Bengal, such decorations reached a high degree of excellence. In Bankura and Vishnupur, this type of terracotta temples reached a high degree of excellence. And both the type of temples, you can see there, the double roofed temple also, and the four roofed terracotta temples also. Okay students, so this is the difference and this is the style of our temple architecture at the time that was started in Bengal in 16th century mainly. And later on the four roofed, this type of style also followed in some other temples, and later on the other type of this type of domes also increased on the top of the temple. Sometimes 4 dome temple, 8 dome temple, 16 dome temple, they have different names, but these are not part of your syllabus, so that's why I'm not telling you. Okay, so such as the Dakshineshwar temple, it is, I think it is more than 16 domes are there. In Sarvamangala temple in your city, this is also with 16 domes, I think so. Okay, and also the Hanseshwari temple in Bashberia, this is also an example of this type of temple architecture. Okay students, so if you have any question you can ask me. Okay, anyone, you have any question regarding this? Okay students, so that's all from our today's class. So the fish as food, this is not part of your syllabus, so I'm not discussing that portion, that how fish was very much popular in Bengal and people started eating fish. You can read it as extra, as a stories, but it's not part of your syllabus. So next day I'll give you the exercise question answers, and on the next live class I'll start a new chapter, that is the 18th century political formation. This chapter is very much important for you, so that's why I'll discuss this chapter from the next live class. Thank you everyone, bye.